see the truth. We see that a lot of animals don't. I can't go into this in detail, but the right way to look at this is evolution is a mathematically precise theory now. You don't have to wave your hands and have intuitions. It's mathematically precise. So you can use evolutionary game theory and genetic algorithms, run simulations, and I've done this in my lab, my students and I, hundreds of thousands, millions of worlds, organisms that see some of the truth, none of the truth, part of the truth, tuned to fitness, and so forth. And what we find is that truth goes extinct when it competes against organisms that are not tuned to the truth, that say none of the truth, but are just tuned to the fitness in the world. And in case of genetic algorithms, what we find is that truth-seeing organisms don't even get a chance to come on the stage to go extinct. They don't even come up. They're so far off the fitness landscape that they're not interesting. So the point is that fitness, which is what evolution is about, is distinct from truth. For example, if you're a hungry lion, a T-bone steak could convey lots of fitness to you if you're hungry and you want to eat. That same T-bone steak, if you're a hungry lion, if you're a sated lion and you want to mate, well, that steak conveys no fitness at all for that purpose. And if you're a cow, in any state, the T-bone steak has no fitness values for you at all. So the point is that fitness and truth, fitness and objective reality, are utterly different things. The same objective reality can have entirely different fitness consequences for different organisms in different states of the same organism and for different actions. And so what evolution has tuned us to are the fitness functions. And that's why the beetle only was tuned to what it needed to see to find females in its niche. It didn't need to know the truth. It just needed a trick. And one reason for the tricks is you need to do things simply and quickly, cheaply. The cheaper the better, because more complexity requires more time and more calories. So it's about having kids, not about seeing the truth. So how can we understand perception being useful if it's not true? I think we have a nice metaphor now that we didn't have just a few years ago. Your desktop interface on your laptop or your mobile device. The desktop has things like the little rectangular icon you see on the lower right-hand corner. So it's a blue rectangular icon in the lower right-hand corner of the desktop for maybe some file that you're editing. Question: is the file itself, say the text file, blue, rectangular, or in the lower right-hand corner of the computer? Of course not. I mean, that's anybody who thought that misunderstands the point of an interface. It's not there to, in some sense, resemble the truth. It's there to hide the truth. You don't want to know about the diodes, the resistors, the megabytes of software. You don't want to know all that stuff. If you had to see that, you would never get your file edited. So the point of the interface is to hide the truth and to give you little symbols that can guide your behavior adaptively. You can get things done. That's all. And that's what the beetle had. It had a little symbol that was not the truth that allowed it to mate. It didn't know what real females were. So the idea then is that what evolution has given us is not the truth, but a perceptual system that's like a Windows interface. So space and time, as we experience space in this room, is our desktop. Physical objects like the podium, cups of coffee and so forth, are icons on the desktop. None of it is intended to be the truth. In fact, the point of us seeing in space and time and seeing physical objects is that that's a nice species-specific, dumbed-down user interface that's there to hide the truth. But it seems complicated to us, but in fact it's really simple. Really simple. And that was the point of it. So now one objection you might have is, well, Hoffman, if you think that train coming down the track is just a symbol of your user interface, why don't you step in front of it? And after you're gone and your theory with you, we'll know there's much more to physical objects than being just icons. And the point is, I wouldn't step in front of the train for the same reason I wouldn't drag that icon to the trash can. It's not that I take the icon literally. The file isn't blue, rectangular, and so forth, but I do take it seriously. If I drag that icon carelessly to the trash can, I could lose a year of work. And that's the point. We have to take our perceptions seriously. Evolution has given us symbols that we need to take seriously. If you see a snake, don't touch it. If you see a cliff, don't step off. That's what it's evolved to do. It's evolved to keep you alive. But because we have to take it seriously, it does not entail we have to take it literally. And that's the key point. How does this cash out in biology? Well, we actually can understand, if we think about all perceptual systems of all organisms, including humans, as interfaces, then we can think about biology, for example, in terms of evolutionary arms races where you're trying to outsmart interfaces. This is the back end of a caterpillar. It's not a snake. There's been an evolutionary arms race where birds are trying to eat the caterpillar, and the caterpillar has evolved to take advantage of weaknesses in the perceptual interface of birds. And there's been this arms race going back and forth to the point where the caterpillar has to get more and more sophisticated in its camouflage or its mimicry to fool the butterflies. Even the highlights on the eyes are fake. So apparently to fool the bird, you need to put fake highlights on your fake eyes, but then it'll work. Pretty impressive. That's a moth. It's also trying to fool the interface of birds. It's saying, not only should you not eat me, I'm not a moth, I'm actually an owl. And if you come near me, I'll eat you. Right? So false advertising is not new with Madison Avenue. It's been there in nature all along. We saw it with the orchid getting the wasp to copulate with it. So it's all about finding the weaknesses in interfaces and exploiting them. I consult for various companies and I do exactly that. We understand the human interface and we can use it to, these two faces maybe look the same to you. I've made a slight difference in one that I won't go into, but that slight difference is I know how to play with your interface, and you will buy the product with the face on the left more than the face on the right. We can do this. So it has marketing and advertising implications, but then also it has implications for understanding a key aspect of the intellectual history of humanity. We used to believe the earth is flat, like the cookie I showed you. We literally, until Pythagoras, 600 BC, and then Aristotle really sort of took it off at around 330 BC, everybody, to the extent they thought about it, thought the earth was flat. And in fact, only it was Pythagoras who figured out it was round, and Aristotle agreed, and then other cultures, for example, in India, it was in the early centuries, around 300 AD, that they switched from flat earth to a round earth. In China, it was the 17th century AD that they switched. And in a lot of Aboriginal cultures, including American Indians, flat earth until they were, exposed to the other ideas. So why did we think the earth is flat? Well, it looks that way. Right? You can just look around, it looks flat. Any fool can see the earth is flat. And so it was our perceptual systems that we took literally. Then when we went to the spherical earth, we believed that the earth was the center of the universe and didn't move. And the reason for that was you could just look, is it moving? In Southern California it moves once in a while. But other than that, right, it looks perfectly still. And it looks like the sun and the moon and the stars are going around. So everybody believed, that knew that the earth wasn't flat, they believed the earth was round, but it was the center of the universe because it looked that way. Once again, we've been taken in by our perceptions. And actually, people were burned at the stake during the Inquisition for that belief. And Galileo recanted. He was smart enough to recant his view, but was under house arrest for all of his life, his later life, because of his belief that the earth is not the center of the universe. That's how deeply we are fooled by our perceptions. What I'm saying is that we had to give up flat earth, we had to give up the geocentric universe. Those were just warm-ups. Now what we have to give up is the very notion that our perceptions of space and time and physical objects themselves reflect reality. Right? So we're being fooled by space and time and physical objects, just like we were fooled about flat Earth and the geocentric universe. Only now we have to give up all of our perceptions as reflecting reality, not just a little bit here and there. And this has implications as well for the main topic of this conference, which is how is consciousness related to the body, the mind-body problem. And the reason it has an implication for that is most theories of the mind-body problem assume that the physical world, including neurons, exists independently of perception, that that's the objective reality. And as a result, they try to take neurons as the starting point for theoretical accounts of consciousness. And what I'm saying is, neurons are just a species-specific symbol. They're not the reality. One implication of this whole theory is that neural activity causes nothing.